and welcome back to another action figure unboxing and review. This time round we've got DC Multiverse from McFarlane. It's Batman the Grim Knight. And thanks for joining me once again for another action figure unboxing and review. This is the first DC one that I've done. It's DC Multiverse. It's the Grim Knight from McFarlane Toys. The Grim Knight stemmed out of a 6 or 7 issue mini-series, The Batman Who Laughs, which spun out of Death Metal, which basically was all the multiverses converging into one. And so yeah, let's get this bad boy open and get a better look. But before we do that, we'll have a look at the back of the box. Here's a bit of artwork with the Grim Knight, looking pretty badass with all his weaponry. Here are some other figures that will be available in the range. It shows the kind of cards that you get with the DC Multiverse figures. And here he is out of the box and in all his glory with his vast array of weaponry. There was a lot of comparisons whenever he was first appeared in the books that it's essentially Batman and the Punisher. You know, what if Batman wasn't good and noble and believed in killing but still wanted to fight crime, and this is what you would get essentially. And as I said before, it is customary to get these kind of collector cards with the McFarlane figures. You get one for each figure, and it gives a brief kind of origin of each, so feel free to pause that and have a good read. One thing about the McFarlane range I thoroughly enjoy is the fact that you do get quite a lot of accessories. This one here shows a vast array of guns and rifles and automatics, I'm sure, and it is one kind of solid piece that just goes into the back peg hole. But how cool would that have been if they were all individual? Although it would have been a nightmare to put together, but still. And then he comes with some sort of grenade launcher, I'm assuming. I'm not au fait with guns, unfortunately, or fortunately. But yeah, I'm assuming this is a grenade launcher. And then some sort of other Uzi stroke machine gun, some sort of automatic weapon. There's that. But yeah, the accessories for these figures are very good, and they do come with the stand, which is standard also. So to get a closer look at the fella himself, one thing about the McFarlane ones, and this is no different, is the detail they have. It's fairly comic book accurate. The detail on it is immense, like even to the kind of texture on his combat trousers, his knee pads there, and his boots. Like, there's a lot of details went into this. And the face sculpt again looks fairly accurate. My figure here, as you can see, I think it's picking up on camera, has this little, I don't know if it's a dent or it's some sort of glue that's been spilled and hardened over, but it doesn't distract from the figure for me, so it's okay. I'll just pay some closer attention to some of the details. So he has this kind of this belt which contains all of his kind of weaponry and gadgets, I'm sure, and I mean, it is a piece of rubber. I don't think it clips off. I don't believe so, but you wouldn't want to clip it off anyway. Same thing with the kind of shoulder harness here, and that is where the peg hole for this boyo goes. One thing I do notice about it, I don't know if it picks up on camera, but it's not really black. There's a tinge of, it's more grey, a tinge of blue almost. I don't know if it's intentional. I can't actually remember now, the back of my head, how he appeared in the comics. I assumed he was all black. It's not black here. And my favourite part of any action figure review is the articulation. I have noticed that these figures, although they look fantastic, they don't lack in articulation, but they're extremely stiff. But we'll go through it anyway. So the head doesn't look up a lot, will look down that much, won't really, well, will rotate, but that far back if you want to do that. And the same there, he has got the scarf detail around him which prevents the head going anymore. Has an ab crunch of sorts. Again, you can see a huge gap there if you went too far back. Has waist swivel, but it's a bit tight. Shoulder, bicep swivel, again these are all very tight. They don't go round immensely. It has double jointed elbows, which is always good to see. And the wrists, I don't know if it's a ball joint, I think it's a ball joint, but it's again very stiff. And that'll be the same on the other side, obviously. Legs will go that far apart. It's hindered here obviously with the holsters at the side. They will go that far forward, that far back. Oh my goodness, very stiff double knee joints, and ankles again on a ball joint, and they will pivot and slide and up and down that much. You almost feel like I'm going to break this thing because it's so stiff. There's no shin swivel and there's no thigh swivel, but I mean, I think it's a good thing, because the more joints, the more movement in this figure, the more likely I'm likely to break it, because it is extremely stiff. They do stand on their own, which is good, because I've had issues before with a lot of the DC figures, the DC Essentials, the DC Collectibles, had extremely weak ankles and they were an absolute nightmare. And here we have them looking pretty badass. I mean, if you're going to go out and fight crime in the most deadliest city, you would think you would be a bit more open to some weaponry, a bit more prepared for anything. And well, I would suggest that this Batman, cruising around Gotham looking like this, grenade launchers, rifles, automatics, I'm sure there's bombs and grenades, all sorts in his belt, I think the crime rate would probably lessen, but who knows. But this does look pretty badass. I am slightly disappointed in the articulation. I do think Todd McFarlane, he looks for the accuracy, he looks for the design detail. I think he has said he will sacrifice some articulation in these figures just so they can have a better looking, more accurate figure. And that's what we have here. The joints are terribly stiff. You can't loosen them. Heat gun, hairdryer, dip into boiling water or hot water for a while and it will loosen, but I'm always fearful of loosening them too much in case they lose their integrity. So yeah, this guy will look tremendous on the shelf with all the other DC figures, DC Multiverse, McFarlane figures. And yeah, delighted to have him. Well folks, this brings a close to another action figure review. If you like this video, please hit like, please subscribe to my channel for future content just like this. Comment below what you thought of this figure. Do you have it? Do you like it? Do you agree with the points I made? And yeah, let's get a discussion going, and please stay tuned for my next video, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.